Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Kamilian, and in this series I share opinions of mine which have a high chance of falling into the minority. So with that, today, in my opinion, the live action version of Beauty and the Beast is better than the original. Now I'm not trying to tell you this as a fact, nor am I trying to change your mind. All I ask is that you hear me out. Never bought books from the store. Belle had an interesting arrangement with the owner of a bookstore in her village, as she never appeared to ever buy any from him, but instead simply borrowed them without charge whenever she wanted something to read. This doesn't seem like a good business model. The live-action movie fixes this by having Belle borrow books from the local priest Pere Robert instead. This scene also appears to have acknowledged the original mistake by adding the line, "Your library makes our small corner of the world feel big." The Age of the Prince. Oh, now this one presses all my buttons, all of them all at once. I'm gonna try and keep this section as short as I can, but in the original, Lumiere revealed that the castle had been under the Enchantress's spell for 10 years. The opening narration explains that the prince has until his 21st birthday to break the spell, or the curse would become permanent. Because time has not yet run out, it means his 21st birthday has not yet passed, so the prince is still 20 throughout the majority of the film. This also means that there is the sad realization of the fact his castle was raided on his 21st birthday. Moving on, doing some simple math, by subtracting the 10 years of the spell from the prince's age of 20, we learn that he was 10 at the time of being cursed. Now, I don't know about you, but if I wound the clock forward for my son to be now the age of 10, I would have no problem with him turning away a stranger at the front door. Using the same point, we can see a huge plot hole in the original. As I mentioned, the prince was 10 when he was cursed, yet we see him as a beast tearing a portrait of himself seemingly as an adult, which makes no sense because he was cursed as a child. Don't even get me started on the fact that a child who hasn't even hit puberty yet, that by the time he turns 21, he must learn to love another and earn her love in return to break the curse. That's right, in the original prologue they specify that he must earn her love in return. They've already assumed his preference, for lack of better terminology. The live-action film fixes both of these previous points by showing the prince as an adult before the spell is cast. Lumiere's line in Be Our Guest, 10 years we've been rusting, was changed to too long we've been rusting. And in the prologue they changed the phrase from earn her love in return to earn their love in return. Now just to throw you one more curveball, there was one other issue I have. Arguably the biggest plot hole is Chip. In the live-action film, we see both him and Mrs. Potts present in the room before the curse is laid, so we know that they are both alive before the curse. In the original, there's no such scene, and when Chip is turned back into a human, he appears to be younger than 10. Throughout my research online, using the Disney Wiki as an example, they say his age is 7. However, let's go with all this is unconfirmed and that his age is unknown. But it still poses the question, was he born a teacup? The Villages. The Castle of the Beast is less than a day's ride away from the village, yet no villagers seem to recall its existence, let alone the presence of a prince. He would have been their prince, their ruler, right? The animation never really reveals where his parents are either. The opening of the live-action film does address part of this at least. The curse made the villagers forget about the castle and its inhabitants. As for the king and queen, I suppose you could say they didn't need to be present in the film as the prince was already an adult, but I'll touch more on the prince's parents later. So for now, that part's solved. LeFou's obsession with Gaston. Now hang on, I hear you, it's not a plot hole, and I agree, it's not a plot hole, just an oddity, but I love the way it was addressed. LeFou is Gaston's henchman, or his lackey if you will. In the original, the short weird guy fawns over Gaston and everything he does. Looking at this from a kid's perspective, having a lackey act this way towards the main antagonist just seems normal. But in reality, this is far different. I mean, a lion being in cahoots with a hyena because reasons made sense as a child. But again, that was addressed in The Lion King. That's probably a different video though, moving forward. So back to the reality of the situation between LeFou and Gaston. To be that devoted to someone who treats you the way Gaston does? As I said, thankfully this was addressed. LeFou was gay. And that's amazing. In the live-action version of Beauty and the Beast, LeFou is absolutely, positively 100% gay and in love with Gaston, and it's beautiful. I mean, not the one-way relationship, but the fact that they've actually got an openly gay character in a live-action film. It was beautiful. Before making it super clear, there are hints all throughout the film. His mannerisms, his close embrace in the Gaston song, during which LeFou even asks, "Too much?" And in the dance at the end, he's partnering with the other male character in the movie. Well done. Gaston's place in the village. In the animation, Gaston seems to be like the popular guy at school, the jock, the guy that everyone wants to be like, the one that everyone wants to be around and friends with, etc. Again, going back to in a child's mind, this all makes sense because it just does. But again, I like how they've addressed a lot of his attitude and self-obsession in the live-action film. Firstly, he's returned from war, where he feels like he's meant something. Note, this doesn't excuse his poor attitude by any means. But also during the song Gaston, LeFou can be seen paying people off to A, take part in the song, or B, take a beating from Gaston, whereas the original, as I mentioned, it all just happened because Gaston is Gaston. Backstory. Starting with Belle. In the opening song, Belle sings, "Every morning, just the same since the morning that we came to this poor provincial town." And that's the last we hear of anything prior to her life here. This song seems to mainly be used as a simple introduction to the world where Beauty and the Beast takes place, and does a fantastic job. But Belle's oddity appears to only stem from her literacy. This is fleshed out a great deal more in the live-action version, with not only a few more lines here and there which help explain that literacy was not common amongst ladies of that period in time, as well as doubling down on the fact that Belle and her father moved here. As a bonus, they also addressed the absence of Belle's mother, which is also the reason why they moved in the first place. It all just works. The live-action movie does an amazing job of setting a beautiful scene and adding so much more depth to characters such as Maurice. Even Belle, the main protagonist of the film, gets more depth, and it's beautiful. With this far through, and I'm using the word beautiful a lot. Coincidence that this is for Beauty and the Beast? I think not. Moving on. As for the prince, we're given the chance to see him grow into a troubled boy after his mother passed away, leaving him to be raised by his cruel father. This is significant, as it shows that the prince is transformed following a pattern of behavior, something that we never got to see in the original. Belle becomes a woman curious about her mother, and Maurice's inability to talk about what happened adds depth to both of these characters. When Belle travels to the past with Beast, the two bond over the loss of their mothers. Maurice's imprisonment. In the original fairy tale Beauty and the Beast, written in 1740, Maurice is captured by the Beast, where he tries to pick a rose from the Beast's garden and bring it home to Belle. In the original Disney film, this was left out, and the Beast apprehended Maurice simply for trespassing in his castle. In the live-action version, Maurice's theft returns to the story. This decision also adds a complexity to the beast's capture of Maurice. Of course, this is still a huge overreaction on the beast's part, but given his sensitive relationship with roses, his motivations are easier to understand. Plus, this whole emotional episode is part of his character arc. New songs. 3 new songs were added to the live-action film: Days in the Sun, How Does a Moment Last Forever, and Evermore. These songs were all written by Alan Menken and Tim Rice. Having the original composer on board helped these songs seamlessly integrate with the older songs. While they added to the backstory, they also accomplished things that Menken had wanted but couldn't make work in the original animation, such as giving Beast an amazingly powerful ballad which only complemented this already highly emotional moment. Consequences. In the original film, the falling of rose petals seemed random. While it was clear that the time is running out, all else remained the same. A clever change in the live-action film was giving more significance to the passing of time. As each rose petal fell, the castle and its inhabitants were all affected. The castle began to crumble, and the characters slowly transformed, becoming less and less human and more like inanimate objects. Looking at this a little deeper, this just adds even more weight when you realize that should time ever expire, the prince would truly be alone. Belle's character update. Belle was always a headstrong and progressive character, but what seemed progressive upon the film's release in 1991 does not really hold up today. In order to make Belle current and relevant, her character was modernized. There are specific examples of her cleverness beyond her love of books. She is shown to be an innovator and a leader, just like her father. While Belle teaches a young girl to read in the live-action version, her reading to the Beast is removed. Instead, Beast is already an avid reader. This is one of my favorite updates, but also a very subtle way in which Belle was given more agency as she shared a connection with the Beast over their similar interests and intellect, rather than their relationship being mostly based on her caring for the Beast. Overall, the live-action film hit almost every note it needed to uphold the phenomenal expectations left by the original. Both films are works of art and shall forever remain close to many people's hearts. But remember, the best part about this entire video is that the live-action version of Beauty and the Beast being better than the original is that it's just my opinion. And at the end of the day, that's all that is. Just my opinion. It's not fact. Regardless of whether your opinion aligns with mine or vastly differs, I'd love to hear about it down in the comments below. I've also added links to my Twitch and my Discord in the description. If you did like this video and would love to see more, I have a lot more coming, so please like, share and subscribe. But most importantly, thank you for hearing me out. That's all for now. So until next time, thank you, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Until then, stay safe. All the best.